All right, New York Liberty fans, the time has finally come. Yes, oh yes, I am going to explain to you exactly why I think 2025 is the year that Sabrina Ionescu, jingle jangle, gets the keys to the franchise.
Gotta get up, gotta get up,
gotta get up. Hey, women's basketball fans, welcome to Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans brought to you by Black Rosie Media and hosted by Erica L. Ayala. What it is, what it do, New York Liberty fans, welcome to another episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for you, New York Liberty fans. My name is Erica L. Ayala. I am the founder of Black Rosie Media, or the head Black Rosie in charge. Yes, head Black Rosie in charge. If y'all know, y'all know. Okay. And I'm here once again with my co-host, Brian Fleurantin. Brian, how you living?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. It's a little bit rainy in New York, but it's Met Gala night, so everyone's out there in their finest attire. So somebody's winning today.
Listen, I saw the photos, and first I saw Stewie, then I saw Sab. I feel like the JJ photos took a minute to come out, but when I saw JJ, I immediately thought Moonwalker music video. Joe Pesci, Bugs and Drugs, Frankie Ladeo. And I loved it. I don't think that's the actual reference point, but I don't care. I'm old, so that's what I'm going with. Man, that ponytail all the way. I can't even fit it in the frame all the way up. Oh, man. Ate it up. Angel Reese is there, too. You know, good representation. Was Flage there? I didn't see the Flage photos.
Yeah. I think I saw a photo that she's there tonight too, if I'm not mistaken.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you know, Met Gala, it's a big thing. There's always a theme. It's like the coutureiest of couture, you know, hits the Met Gala. To get an invite is hella dope. So, you know, I was loving the fits. You know, I was loving it. Very, very nice. We'll talk about that. But Brian, on today's episode, I'm ready to give Sab the keys, and I'm going to explain why. We're going to talk about all of that. But, you know, you and I got, it was not very well documented, but the New York Liberty did sign, I don't know, about 25 players over the weekend.
Yes. A lot of training camp contracts were handed out by the Seafoam this weekend.
That's it. What's up, Albert? What's up from Queens? What's going on? Hola, Damien. I'm doing well. Hey, Daniel, good to see you. Thanks for coming through. Yeah, so you and I got a contract. Hold on, let me see if I still have mine. Oh, it's not framed yet. But here we go. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Can y'all see that? All right. Hold on. I'm going to flip it so y'all can read it. There you go. New York Media. New York. Here we go. I'm going to read it because I got an extra one because I like to have extras. New York Liberty 2025 Media Appreciation Day basketball camp contract. We had a 45-minute contract, Brian. A 45-minute contract, and I mean, I had a good time. You know, it was pretty dope. Stick taps. I'm still in hockey mode, but that's what we say in hockey. Stick taps to Brian Flannery and the rest of the crew over at the New York Liberty. They had us media members out. We got a dynamic warm-up, as one does, as one should do. And then we ran drills. We had a drill station and ended with knockout. And someone told me, I think it might have been Annie Costable, who's now with Front Office Sports, was like, yo, Erica, like, who do you have? Because unfortunately, I got knocked out. I was tight, especially because I was the first person, Brian, to knock someone out. I knocked out Big Dog.
Oh, really? Who you got?
I took out Jonathan Kolb.
Really?
Yes. I was like, I need the video. Your girl right here knocked out Jonathan Kolb in the early rounds. But then I got knocked out. Brian Flannery knocked me out. I was like, I thought we was cool, homie. I thought we was cool, dog. You know, you win like, best PR executive of the year, and then you act like you ain't know nobody. That was cold. So I had to wait. I got knocked out. And I was talking to Annie and some other people on the side, and they were like, I don't know who you got. I was like, listen, you know who was looking good despite, he said no excuses. Southpaw lefty Ben Pickman.
And yes.
Ben had tape on his hands. I was like, Ben's looking good, but I was like, the dark horse, I promise you, I said this, Brian. The dark horse, my birthday twin, May 8th. That's it. We share the same birthday. My birthday twin, Doug Feinberg. And who did it come down to? Who was the last media member standing? Doug versus Sandy Brondello.
That entire Saturday is a perfect explanation as to why Doug is in the Basketball Writers Hall of Fame. Very A+ work by Doug.
A+. He held it down.
And then he won the half-court shooting contest as well, too.
He did. He was like, just came in. He did his little stretches, in the Qatar Club before we did the dynamic. I saw him down there. Some of y'all might not know. Doug, he's a track coach, so he knows a thing or two about a thing or two. Came out there, wasn't saying too much, wasn't doing too much. And then, like, when it came down to it, he was with it. I had so much fun. I really did.
It was so cool. Like it feels like, I think about it a lot where it's like we do the job, but like you're around good people who make things fun because this is supposed to be fun, that and Saturday really sort of drove that home for me because everyone's there. Like, we're doing our work. We spent 40 minutes with Jonathan Kolb at the top.
Yep.
And then we covered practice, did what we needed to do. And then it was like, everyone's vibing, like it's fun. Like everyone's here working. We're doing what we do, and it's all sort of like a tremendous camaraderie and just like an enjoyment that really makes the weekend fun. And also, it was hot as hell on Saturday, man. I walked there, I'm like, because when I got there, I had like a collared shirt and some dress pants. I'm like, oh, we're gonna be in this little area, put on something nice. I'm like, I got like 20 minutes from my house. I'm like, why did I wear this? This is way too hot for this. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was hot. And I had gotten sick Thursday overnight and then into Friday. I was sick, like stomach ill. And so I came out and I had a jacket, like one of those like jackets you can fold, but it was like kind of on the puffy side, like outside, winter style jacket. And Jackie was like, oh, Erica, you're going to be hot. I was like, Jackie, I just spent the last 24 hours having chills. I'm gonna wear this and take my chances. I was like, I'll wear this and take my chances. But no, it was so cool. They gave us we had practice shirts, Media Appreciation Day practice shirts. We got to run drills with the staff. Tosh Cloud came out. She was I don't know if any of the other Liberty fan or Liberty players were kind of watching, because at first I was like, are they gonna watch us? Like that would be kind of weird. And then I was like, I mean, Brian, we watched them practice, so fair is fair. But then, as you mentioned, we had Jonathan Kolb for about 40 minutes, and we'll definitely get into some of that. But when I was like, oh, but players don't have media today, I was like, they're not trying to be out here with us. Like, they were like, oh, they don't have to talk to us. They were. I'm like, they're gone. They're gonna be in the back with the smoothies, sandwiches, and the salads. Like. In the locker room. I was like, they ain't coming out here. But Tosh did come out. She huddled us up in the beginning. She ran some of the drills, like kind of like shadowing, and all of that stuff. It was pretty dope. It was dope. And so we are told it was the inaugural, which means that this will be an annual thing. So we're gonna be ready for next year, Brian.
We're gonna do it again.
Let's go. Black Rosie Media Crew versus everybody but Ben and Doug. Oh man, no, that was so much fun. We had a good time. But as you mentioned, a part of it, because they served us breakfast. It was my first time in the Crown Club. I ain't fancy like that. So
yeah, I was like, what? I missed the breakfast because like I woke up on time, but then I was like, like I do this thing a lot where I wake up and I'm like, I don't feel like getting up yet. So like I get up.
listen,
I'm
on a
like,
Saturday, come on. I hear that.
I was like, damn, it's 9:45. I need to leave. And then
You didn't. I got there later also because, as I had alluded to, I was still on, electrolytes and crackers, saltines, maybe a little applesauce if I'm trying to, like, test it out. So I was like, I can't be around people eating breakfast food. I might not be okay. I just didn't want to chance it because I wanted to play. I wanted to play. So I was like, I can't chance it. As it turned out, I was fine. For the day, so it wasn't an issue. But I was like, I can't. I don't know what kind of breakfast we have, and it looked nice though. It looked nice, but I was like, I can't do this right now. I don't
I
know.
went to work in at lunch though. I'll tell you what.
Listen, that's how I knew I was right, because that lunch was bomb. We had the spicy rigatoni. We had Caesar salad. They had freaking sandwiches, them thick things, some like 3-story buildings. What
They,
else?
they had some strip steak, which I took.
Strip steak, yep.
Pasta, I had some as well.
Yep. Garlic
I
mashed
think,
potatoes.
yeah, I think there was some chicken,
Chicken Milanese. Yep.
Milanese. They had that. The
Yep.
salad was good.
Salad was very good.
I think it was like a mashed potato I took as well too, like
Garlic mash,
and then
absolutely.
some pasta, and then
And they were thoughtful enough to also have to-go containers for us with bags. So
yes,
we took food home. Like, I crushed that. So I went to go see Sinners. I stayed with my mom's out in East Flatbush. We were talking about that. I stayed with my mom the last night I was in town. And we ended up watching Sinners. And I was like, dang, I'm kind of hungry. And I was like, good thing I got this strip
there it
steak.
is. There it is.
Listen, I heard that it's a thing. It was very okay. It was good. It was not the best. Listen, I'm a New Yorker, Brian. I feel like New Yorkers, whether we like it or not, we're like low-key Italian. You know what I'm saying? Between the mannerisms and what we eat, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, as a New Yorker, like a New Yorker, you can't just go anywhere and eat Italian food. You know what I'm saying? Like, just a stone's throw away from Barclays Center, you could get some of the best Italian food. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was pretty good. It was pretty good. The best I've ever had, I don't know.
Look,
I don't know.
I was telling a friend of ours,
Some bread. We didn't have no bread. That was the problem. We didn't have no soft bread.
I saw some croutons around. I grabbed like two. I had two, but it wasn't like the bread. Yeah,
Some soft bread. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I was telling Kenny St. Ville of New York Liberty Fan TV that I am a complete sucker for spicy rigatoni. Like, if you give me a good plate, I am yours completely. Like, put that in front of me. Hey, I got you.
It's good. It was good though. It was like they treated us well. They really did. It was dope. I loved it. But now let's get to what the fans probably really want to know about. Jonathan Kolb, JK, the general manager of the New York Liberty. Unfortunately, we don't have the video available for y'all, but once we get the full video file, excuse me, I will definitely post it on our YouTube page. And y'all already know, if y'all are a part of our Slack group, then you already saw some of the quotes because I was quoting live while Jonathan was talking. But I thought it was a really good opportunity to hear from Jonathan about how different things are going to work, what he's expecting. I think the biggest news, though, probably came in what Jonathan Kolb said regarding Benajelani Hamilton. Says that he is expecting to suspend Lainey Hamilton's contract, said it's, quote, more likely than not. And that is just due to the return date that's expected and, of course, having to navigate. He also did clarify, for those who are maybe not familiar, and actually on Tempestagi Talk on Wednesday, just a heads up, we'll probably talk about contracts and why there's no LTIR and what the history of that is and all of that stuff. But for the sake of this, because there's no long-term injured reserve in the WNBA, you can't have a player who, well, it's difficult to have a player that you know is going to be out for several months and to keep them on your on your salary. And because then what happens is they're basically eating up that salary, and towards your cap, and that they're not going to be available, if at all, towards the season. So when you suspend a player's contract, like is likely, not for sure, but likely to happen with Benajalaini Hamilton, of course, Brian, that opens Jonathan Kolb up to potentially bring in another player.
Yeah, like the bad part about it for B is that she's been such an integral part of the team since she came in 2021,
Yeah.
and the injury happened like this. It's never a good time to get injured, but the injury happening and the surgery happening right after and having a 6-month window is so difficult because the season is only up for like 4 or 5 months at a time.
Right.
So if she were to like beat the odds and come back, I think her debut date would have been like September 19th, and that's like right in the playoff. And imagine integrating new team, like playing with the new guard and Natasha Cloud, all this, and then you're in the semifinals against Minnesota, Indiana, Las Vegas, Phoenix, against really great teams. There's no ramp up, there's no runway, there's no like time, and then you run into the problem of you're trying to race against time, and then you make something worse. Like we see it with athletes all the time. They've got one injury, they try to overcompensate in another area, you create another injury, and then it's just a bad cycle that never ends. So having more than likely the contract being suspended, it gives her time to fully heal without the pressure of having to get back to help with the title defense. And when she does come back next year, she'll be back stronger, better, and then we'll be able to see what she does next. And as for the team right now, that does allow for more flexibility as far as like putting the roster together for opening night. They know that they're probably not going to have B on the books this year, so they can maneuver the roster a little bit in ways that may not have been possible as recently as last month. As far as who's going to make the roster out of camp, that's one thing to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll see what talent is out there as far as free agency goes. I know as soon as I saw quotes from fans over the weekend, everybody went one direction, and now it's right to Belgium. And I'm like, we got to wait to see about that. Who knows? Maybe, but we'll see.
I mean, I said it on Tempestagi Talk, I'm pretty sure. I would love that. Y'all already know. If y'all don't know, we're talking about Emma Meeseman. Lots of people bringing Emma into that conversation. All I know is what Emma told me in France. She said she's good. And if you want to see her back in the WNBA, then you know what to do, aka prioritization. No, prioritization. Because she said, listen, I again, if y'all been rocking with us since the beginning, you would have had access to that. If you're not a part of our Slack channel, I don't know what to tell you, because it ain't gonna be free forever. So you might want to hop on that. Okay. But listen, she said, I'm good with what I do. Would I love to play in the WNBA again? Absolutely. But until they figure out prioritization, there's not really an incentive for me to uproot everything that I've built here. Now she's an Olympian, Belgium, making the stand that they did in Paris 2024. No, that's not what she's about to do. But other things that we did here, in addition to that, Benajalaini Hamilton's contract will most likely, or again, quote, more likely than not, be suspended. We heard a lot about Tosh Cloud, and I want to talk a little bit about that, because that's going to lead into why I think even with a Tosh Cloud, you're still handing the keys over to Sabrina Ionescu. But I want to hit on something that was mentioned. And again, if you're on our Slack channel, this has been coming up. But the Liberty were asked a lot about the international flair, Brian, to their roster. And Jonathan Kolb, of course, has been asked a lot about how do you navigate trying to get another championship when there are more expansion drafts coming. And he talked a lot about the international flair, to this New York Liberty squad. The fact that they've had multiple players from multiple countries represent the Olympics, at the highest level of what we're seeing in Eurobasket and EuroLeague and things of that nature, Spanish League, all of that stuff. And he said that is a part of what they are doing and how they scout, and that even if they are quote unquote drafting and stashing, aka drafting someone like we saw them do with Marine Johannes, they don't come over right away. But unlike some teams, LA, Chicago, the New York Liberty say they do keep in touch with the international players that they draft. They keep up with their progress. They are having conversations with them. And so, yes, the draft and stash method is definitely something that is on the table when it comes to the New York Liberty. And that's what we talked about. That's what I thought might happen ahead of the draft, especially knowing they have, literally the last pick. And also, I think that's why we talked about this on the last episode, Brian, why we see some international flair even in training camp.
Yeah, I think that we talk about it all the time. Investment isn't just things you do in the United States, it's how you establish yourself around the world. And if you, as a team, really make it so that way for players who are interested in coming to the league, they're like, oh, I want to go to New York. Not just for, marketing, things like that. It's because I have a stable organization that's going to really connect me across the board to everything I need. And that part matters a lot. And especially with roster sizes being as limited as they are and the salary cap not yet jumping to a level where you can really sort of like pay up and really sort of like have a full roster in that way. If you're able to hit at the margins, it becomes more and more valuable and more impressive. Like
Right.
we talk about it a lot, a lot. I would say just about, unless you were like really locked in to like international ball last year, you may not have known much about Leone Fibic coming into the year. But after like a rocky first month, by like mid-June, it's like, oh, this is something. And then July, it's like, oh wow. And then by October, it's, oh my God, Leo, I am your greatest soldier kind of thing. So you want to have a situation where you as an organization tap into as many places as possible. And I saw a post from Alfred Correa of Her Hoop Stats this weekend. He mentioned that they had players in Germany, Spain, France, Australia, every country you can think of. There is Liberty representation there. And beyond just winning the championship, JK mentioned that he doesn't want this to just be a one-year thing. He wants this to be like, we want to be the standard. And being the standard means not just winning and winning a lot here, but making sure there's always a continuous flow of great talent coming in and having a support that makes it so that way they can be the best version of themselves without having to worry about supports from like as far as like training staff, medical, where to live, treatment, things like that, where you practice. That's the standard of a plus organization. And the ownership group, JK, and the players have really made New York probably, I would say, a glamour destination, not just in the WNBA, but across all sports, I would say as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, some people are slow to the uptake. I know the players were asked, I guess it was at Friday's practice, about a Fox list of,
Oh,
best
yeah.
in New York that had no women and no champions on it. So how you the best? You're not even a recent champ. But anyway, but you talked about, and I see some questions about, youth versus veterans. I think we'll get to that. But you talked about and alluded to what Jonathan Kolb, JK, was talking about regarding setting a standard, and that it's always been the Liberty, their goal to set a standard, and it's a multi-year process. It's not overnight. I think maybe what happened overnight, that's kind of taken the globe by storm, that maybe surprised the New York Liberty, is probably Ellie, the elephant. But other than that, everything else that we're seeing has been multiple years, and they've stayed the course. They've stayed true to the course. I got in my little joke with Jonathan Kolb about hybrid rebuilds, but the new word and the new question that I will be asking him is not about a hybrid rebuild anymore. We're beyond that, at least for now. We'll see what the expansion drafts bring. But now it's about positionless basketball and what that looks like. And I do think that the New York Liberty, even though I'm not a super fan of positionless basketball, especially when it comes to the 1 and the 5, they might be making me a believer. And a part of that is because you bring in a veteran like Tosh Cloud, who is an undeniable two-way player. So if you lose a Benajelani Hamilton for the season, which seems likely, and the New York Liberty might have known the prognosis around the time that they made a move for Tosh Cloud. Let's just also put that out there. Then you bring in another veteran who can play hard. We talked about this, right? Play hard minutes on defense for you. Can also be a true one floor general and has championship pedigree in Natasha Cloud. Not to mention the sandpaper, the grit, the moxie, the attitude, the dog that I've been waiting for this team. I mean, there is a lot of things that, Brian, this team is expecting to be able to do now that they have Natasha Cloud.
Yeah, on the Tosh Cloud front, something that he mentioned as well too that really sort of like jumped in my mind was that he mentioned the acquisition of the new assistant coaches, I think Andrew Wade and Sonia Rahman. He mentioned that for Sonia in particular, she has so much years of basketball experience, and she'll sort of like she'll help add new wrinkles to the offense and really sort of like allow them to explore even more horizons. Yeah. And something else he mentioned, especially when thinking about Tosh Cloud, is that she's such a great driver to the rim. Yes. And he mentioned specifically he'd love to see the team get more shot attempts at the basket. Like as I was coming at earlier today, I was looking it up. The Liberty were number 1 in the WNBA in percentage inside the restricted area last year at 70.8%. So when they're down there, it's automatic. And you know, when we think of that area, it's JJ gets it on the block, it's 2 points right there. But now you have a player like Tosh Cloud, who similar to Sloop in that she's a great driver at the rim, but I think does it more frequently, and there's more oomph to it, for lack of a better term. And I think within that, like you have that ability, and then defenses naturally are like, oh my God, I don't want to give up a layup. And Tosh is like a top 5. He's been top 5 in assists for the past 6 seasons running. It's, oh, you want to collapse in the defense? Who's in the corner? Leonie Fibic. Who else is in that other corner? That's Sabrina Ionescu. And then you're so focused on preventing those easy layups. Those kickouts to the corners are wide open, and that's 3 points on the board. So now you have a situation where you can really sort of tap into so many different things, and you can take what has been, it's been a great offense since 2023 with JJ, Stewie, Sloot when she was here, KT, all those folks. Like, it's a great offense. You can make it even greater, and with the competition, with the competition beneath you getting better, you taking that step up it gives you more breathing room on offense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Damien, what are we talking about? Is this in response to me saying we have a dog now? Yes, Jalen Sherrod also has a championship. She has as many championships as Natasha Cloud, as fate would have it. But how many hard minutes does she have? How many all-star appearances does she have? How many years in the league? Like, what are we talking about? Let's not act like, with all due respect to Jalen Sherrod, who I would have loved to see get more minutes, you're taking Tosh Cloud, and that is your dog. There's no question that Tosh Cloud is making this team and will be a starter. That's not the case with Sherrod. Let's just be real.
And I just want to stay on that point right for a little bit and take us to the other side. Cole mentioned that the versatility aspect of it, and you were talking about the positionless piece of it. Like Tosh Cloud allows you to run so many different combinations, and you can do all sorts of funness there. Oh, Janice was playing center. Tosh Cloud can guard a 4, and then do what you want after. It's so many options open up just by that one acquisition, and something that I feel like sometimes, like when you watch a player closely, you're like, wow, I knew you were great, but I didn't realize you were that good. Like, something I noticed a lot when I was at practice last week is that she's really great as far as help defense goes. I'm like, you really got to that gap a lot quicker than I anticipated. That's really smart.
Anticipate quick, like you said. And that's huge because I can't stand bad weak side defense. Like I cannot. It's boxing out. People saying world champions when you're really just your league champion. Vegas, get it together. Please don't have our banner say world champions. Please don't have our banner say world champions. Because I'll be clowning the New York Liberty if they do that. I'm
We
gonna
gotta
be
send an email.
I'm a clown it. I'm a clown it. So, but like Tosh is great there. But Tosh is also just great energy overall. Come on. Thank you. It's not personal. It's just anyway. But we can talk about this roster because again, more likely than not sounds like yes, they're gonna probably suspend that contract for Lainey Hamilton so that will or does it. I mean, that's the thing because we also we were talking in our Slack channel. Moni brought up something interesting regarding Seattle and their situation that we might want to talk about here. But before we do that, Brian, you and I are going to step to the side for roughly 2 minutes as I show some media availability from the one and only Tosh Cloud. You're going to see her energy, and then she's going to answer how this backcourt is going to work. And we'll use some of her comments and some of what Brian just said to get into the conversation. Is 2025 the year of Sabrina Ionescu? Y'all already know my answer, but we will talk about it.
Yo, why I'm her favorite teammate? Yes. What? No, why? I'm not sure why. I was just wondering. Did she tell y'all? I was going to ask Sab the same thing. Mic check 1 2 1 2. You already know what to do, baby. All right, let's go. My bad, y'all.
Energy. All right, Tosh. I mean, this is my first time at practice, so just getting to see that you seem to have found a voice and a way to integrate your leadership style. Was that something that you felt was important for you to do coming into a new team, or maybe even this team specifically?
Yeah, it's definitely a thin line because, right, I'm still learning. And I think that's an accountability piece of myself is knowing that I came to an organization that was already great, that is coming off being a championship team. So as much as I can acclimate and adjust while also keeping parts of me within there is what I was brought here to do. So you're still going to see my crazy leadership. Sorry, I hit your phone. Still going to see my crazy leadership energy. When I need to speak, I will. But there's also a piece that I'm a sponge right now, too. This is a different offense that I'm used to. It's a different defensive principles that I'm used to. So this is also like challenging for me as a 10-year vet of just learning something new. And again, trying to just implement myself into a system that is already functioning.
I think one of the things that New York really leaned into last year was the versatility. And with you coming into the fold, MJ coming back, it seems like you get a little bit even more of that in the backcourt in particular. What do you see as the opportunities there, and what are the challenges, but like in a positive way? What are the foundational pieces that you're trying to build as you go through training camp?
Who y'all gonna guard? That's what we have to work with. Our team is so versatile. Our benches, we have a deep bench as well. On both sides of the floor, that versatility and that depth is going to add something different to this organization this year, something exciting. You have a lot of guards that are willing to get up and press full court and disrupt things on the defensive end. And then you have so many weapons on the offensive end once we come back at you. So the fun part about this offense is it's a positionless offense. The ball's always going to find the right person, but that is also the challenge is right with adding new pieces in, new players in. It's still learning chemistry. They've made minor tweaks to what they were doing last year, so even the vets that are coming back in the core are still learning a new process. So we are really ahead of where we should be day 5, but it's that chemistry and that culture that we have that's really going to carry us through. Moments where we don't necessarily have clarity or we're still learning and going through the of it. Yeah.
So yeah, that's Tosh Cloud. I think she talks about so much there, including like thinking about the backcourt options, including players like Rebecca Gardner and especially Aleo, who maybe are not true backcourt players, but can definitely rotate in and out of there. Who y'all gonna guard? Who y'all gonna guard? But then on the other side of that, again, depending on the options or what Jonathan Kolb, you alluded to this, Brian. He said about what was the quote? I'm going back to our Gotta Get Up community because I know I popped it in here, but he talked about that there are a lot of, I'm excited to see the line combinations Natasha Cloud can unlock. That was the quote. And that's huge because Tosh can bring Sab off of the ball. Tosh can play off of the ball, and you have Sab at the one. We'll talk more about that shortly. You can have, you know, and it's something actually that Sabrina said. She's been focused. We might as well get into Sabrina because I already see people talking about a rhetorical question. Brother man, it's called a hook, darling. It's called a hook, darling. It's to let you know what we about to talk about. That's what we do on the social media. It's the hook. And also, it's not rhetorical because I already told you my answer. I told you the answer in the caption for the video. I told y'all in the prompts on social media. I've been telling y'all for, 2 years? Yes, the answer is yes. Now is the time. And I'm going to tell you why, because that's the hook, darling. That's the hook. All right. But what Sabrina talked about, Brian, on Friday was that she is planning to utilize her height at her position. And she's gotten stronger. She's focused on getting stronger once again, Brian, to take advantage of matchups where she has maybe quicker guards, you know, that first step in particular, quicker guards, but also she has the height advantage because Sab can bring some height to the one position in particular in the WNBA.
Yeah. I think she officially clocks in at 5'11", if I'm not mistaken. Well, let me correct myself. 5'11" and a half per Sabrina for last year. So that half counts for our purposes here.
Yeah, half counts. Yes, indeed. And you know, but thinking about players that don't bring that. I mean, you have some six guards that come in at 6'1", you know, 6 feet in this league. And so, but exposing those who are quicker, but how can she, you know, she talked a lot about working on the pick and roll and being a part of that and being able to actually be the player, you know, that is working off of that pick and roll. And not just the player driving, setting the screens. And so I think that's fantastic. Also, Sabrina said that she has never, you know, felt from a mental, physical perspective better and healthier than she has coming into this camp. And in just a few days for me, Brian, because you know I was in and out, I believe her. She looks good. She looks healthy. She looks determined. You're seeing her already make some deep shots in practice in the scrimmage runs that we see. We've heard it from Tosh Cloud. I heard it from Rebecca Gardner. You know, Jonathan Kolb alluded to it. Sabrina's looking really fierce this year.
Yeah, like something is. I love the point you made about Sabrina sort of like getting stronger as compared to recent years because it's like it feels like Sabrina has had bad luck at the end of the past 2 seasons as far as injuries go. In 23, the hip she played through the hip injury in 23. It hurt her in the finals. 24 tore her thumb right at the end of the finals. So the fact that she's constantly getting stronger and adding more to her game every year is, I think, a great sign of determination and professionalism on her part. But also, it's an understanding that, hey, I know what's coming. I know that I'm going to get best perimeter defenders every night. And I know that if I have that strength and I get that first step, I can bowl someone over in the paint, finish in traffic, get those free throw opportunities, and really make things happen in that way. And something else he mentioned that I love about Sabrina's game, we talked to her about it last year. I'll find a quote and post it in the Slack channel, but she's a really great screen setter for a guard.
And that's what she's talking about. That's exactly, I haven't posted this audio yet, and I'm looking up the quote as you talk about it, but that's exactly what she talks about. So tell us more about that while I pull this up.
Yeah, last year we were talking to her about it. I think our guy Lucas Kaplan asked her like, you know, the process of like really setting good screens, and she mentioned that when she was in Oregon, she played a little bit of 4, and that meant really having to sort of like tangle with physical players, and you really have to be able to set those screens to get the advantage for your teammates. And I think for Sabrina, setting those screens, and especially with Natasha Cloud, you can set those guard to guard screens, because sometimes guards may not be able to really anticipate a screen from another guard, and then you have that opportunity to flare out on the wings for three. You have so many avenues that are available. Stewie's an amazing ball handler. You invert the screens with Stewie setting this, with Stab setting the screen for Stewie. Brianna's going downhill. That's 2 points. That's easy 2 right there. Yep. And there are so many avenues that are open for the Liberty, with Sabrina being a willing and solid screener. And I think especially with that, you have great decision makers all in the starting five. You have great decision makers off the bench. Kennedy Burke, really good decision maker.
So
Marina Hannes, really good decision maker.
Yes.
Niara Sabli, locomotive going downhill. Like, there are so many avenues to explore. And to tie back a little bit more to the point Cole was making about the coaching hires and the sort of like optionality of the team, when you have a lead guard, a number one lead guard, setting screens the way that she does, it sets a tempo for an entire game. And it allows your team to get so many easy opportunities that may not have been there otherwise. And I think within that, you allow Sabrina to get more opportunities, get more shots. So even if the ball may not be in her hands per possession, defenses have to pay attention to her wherever she is, because if you leave her open, it's automatic. And something else as far as like her off-season training, we haven't talked to her about it yet, but she was telling a mutual friend of ours, Christina Williams, that she's working. Hey, I want to get better in the mid-range area as well too, because she took those floaters last year, and she had a little bit of a dip in August with the floaters. So if she's able to be a consistent mid-range shooter, there's another avenue that's open. She's strong at the rim. She can make shots from the parking lot. That opens up even more opportunities for her as a scorer and playmaker. And it makes it so that way defenses can't be like, oh, if we're beat on the screen, Sabrina's not going to take the open 18-footer. She's going to try to drive into like 4 people. If you're able to make those 18-footers, defenses have to play you all the way through. And then the thing about defense is you can be on the string for 23 seconds, but you make half a second of a mistake, game over. And she's smart enough to exploit that every time.
She's smart, and she, again, I've knocked her first step. It's gotten a lot better, but it's literally just me knocking that first step, because Sabrina is not quick in the way that Tosh is, but she's quicker than people realize, because yes, she makes decisions very quick, but also we've talked about this before. She's very strong and is getting actively. When y'all listen to what I post in Slack, y'all will see what I'm talking about. She's actively working on getting even stronger and making that a part of her game on a more regular basis. And so what she was saying about the pick and roll is, she said, it's obviously a little different for me having to roll. I'm not really used to that, or setting a screen and sealing and getting a smaller mismatch on my back and being able to play out of that, which is what I was kind of talking about. I was alluding to earlier. But I think that's the fun part of always wanting to evolve as a basketball player. You're going to continue to learn and push yourself and want to get great in a lot of different areas. So for me, it's kind of been a fun challenge. And then generally speaking, she goes into Tosh and thinking about what that could look like. And she talks about how she's not really sure who's going to play the 1 or the 2. She talks about Natasha Cloud's ability to get downhill and create. She's a good first passer, talks about, but it's going to be fun for Sabrina, she says, to play both positions, that being the 1 and the 2. So she talks also about being able to attract defenses because of what she can do. And so that leans right into what you were talking about and what she said to Christina about her mid-range game. That fits into everything that we're hearing here. This is going to be a New York team that wants to be absolutely lethal at every position. They want movement on offense. They want to get their opposition to be rotating their defensive sets so that they can create mismatches at any given point on the floor in any given game. That is what this team wants. And the reason, Brian, I think that even though you have Tosh Cloud, who I do think is going to play the majority of the minutes at 1, I think that makes sense. This is Tosh Cloud's team. And I'm saying that in a year where you have JJ coming off of a finals MVP and just now about to be 2 seasons removed from Brianna Stewart winning league MVP. This is going to be Sabrina's team because Tosh Cloud can't shoot at the clip yet that Sabrina can. Or we haven't seen it. I don't want to say can't, but we have not seen her. She hasn't had to do that in her career. And I don't think that with this offense, she's going to be asked to do that either. Now you have a Marine Johannes, of course, coming in who shoots spectacular shots that we all like. I would watch a top 10 of just Marine Johannes and be happy for the rest of my life. And Marine can't play defense like Sabrina can. Sabrina can't play defense like Tosh, but she's gotten better. And I don't think she's as much of a liability. I saw a question about that. Yes, I do think, and I have continued to say that she improved defensively. She did. Y'all already know who I voted for as most improved player. And that was because of what she did defensively. That was because she got to the basket more and the floaters that you talked about. And now she's working to even improve more. She was very specific. I'll send y'all the audio in Slack, but I asked her, when you're attacking your off-season regimen, you focus so much on your strength to get downhill, to get to the basket. What is the balance now? Are you trying to maintain that? Are you trying to, maintain your health? Why are you focusing on strength? What are you trying to do? And that's when she mentioned being a threat at both positions. That's when she mentioned being able to play effectively in the pick and roll on 2 sides, knowing that she has players in the post that can bring the ball up the court. And so if she can set them up as they're bringing the ball and vice versa, who do you guard? Like Tosh said, who do you guard? But that is all predicated. All of it to me, Brian, and I want to know how you feel about this, is still predicated for me on how much Sabrina Ionescu can expand her game, because Stewie's game is elite. And when it's humming on all cylinders, you can't touch it. JJ does what JJ does and now has integrated a pretty consistent perimeter shot. What do you do there? For me, though, those players are not going to make the significant changes to their game that Sabrina has the potential to do in this season. And that's why 2025 for me is key for Sabrina to make sure that the way that this team plays, it fits into and is instructed in some ways by how Sabrina Ionescu shows up in 2025. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm just thinking about the concept of gravity in basketball. Like we talk about it a lot in the men's side of like Stephen Curry, where it's like when you're on the court, all eyes are always on you. Like there's no...
I'm sorry. Have I not answered this question multiple times? Like, am I tripping?
No, you're not.
Okay. I just want to, okay. That's what I thought. Like, okay. Just maybe turn the volume up a little bit, or you can do captions. Y'all can do captions on YouTube. So maybe check that out, because I'm pretty sure I just want to check in with Brian. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. Continue.
No worries. I think that the concept of gravity, we talk about it a lot in basketball, like on the men's side, like Stephen Curry. And I think from the women's side, like, Clark in Indiana and Sabrina here as well, too, where it's like when they're on the court, especially for guards like that, you always have to pay attention to them. And you always have to like think of how Natasha Cloud defended Sabrina and how she had to in game 2 of 2023 and with Liberty. That you need that. And even if she's not hitting shots, her presence is enough to make things easy for everybody else.
Correct. Which is why y'all clown her for 1 in 19. What have I been saying? She has to take those shots. It doesn't matter if she makes them or not, because if a team sees that she's going to stop taking them, then what do? They do one of them Caitlin Clark sagging.
Yep.
Just don't need to. It's like having a Kia Stokes on the floor.
Exactly. That's a picture perfect point. And we talked about it then, but that series was essentially won after game one when they played her off the court, and Vegas had no other bigs they could trust. And it's hey, A1 MVP got to play 40 minutes dealing with JJ and Stewie with no interior help and no one else making shots on the perimeter. And then what happens? Fourth quarter of a 1-point game in your building, everybody runs out of gas. Party's over. Our boots are on your court, and then we're off to the finals. Like stuff like that adds up to a point. So you're gonna need to, as a team, really be able to make those shots easy for your superstars. And when you have a guard like Ionescu, who wasn't afraid to shoot, like she was on one hand, and that thing's still going up, and it needed to go up. Make or miss. Like for great players, you never want to have a situation where not like they're scared on the court, but they're hesitant. Like if you're hesitating, especially against elite teams like a Las Vegas or Minnesota, like it's party's done. And you're going to lose every time because those are great defenses and they'll be able to adjust on the fly to what you're doing. So if you're open, so if you're getting a screen and the pull-up jumper is there and you're passing on it, defense is going to be like, oh, okay, I can send a second person on the roller. Great. You're not going to shoot that? Fine. That's a win for us. So as that guard for Sabrina, I think her steady improvements matter so much, even if the shot attempts aren't there. Just the mere presence that she brings in that regard is going to make things a lot easier for people. And, especially when defenses are so locked into her, when Leone comes back, those corner threes are right there. Think about the first possession of overtime in game 5. The Liberty win the tip. Sav starts to drive. Who's open in that corner for the three that decided the finals? Leone Fevich.
And JK mentioned that specifically, talking about, what this roster, what this positionless basketball can look like. And again, Stewie needed to be a rock for this team her first year. JJ took on some of that in her first year and then was definitely that last year. Mm-hmm. Tosh is anchoring this team in a very specific way. And the reason the keys, I'm going to say it for like the umpteenth time, because people in here, low-key getting me tight with some of their word choices. Okay? Like, we can be friendly, but also, like, don't come at me on my dang podcast. We're not doing that. I'm going to say it again. All of those things are true. This is a team of all-stars, all-star basketball, Olympians multiple times over from multiple federations. And the person that makes this team as of right now, not considering any role players that will come through in training camp. We're not talking about Rebecca Gardner right now. We're not talking about KB right now. We're not talking about Q or Sherrod or any of them. In your lineup, who will be a starter and will play significant minutes on this team, Sabrina Ionescu is the key and will have the keys to this team. I'm not worried about her, Brian, as a leader. Are we worried about Sabrina Ionescu as a leader? Absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not.
And absolutely not. And now that I'm thinking about it, in the lineups when Natasha Cloud sits, Sab slides down to the 1. You slot in. If you want to maintain the defense, hey, there's Beck Gardner. Oh, hey, there's KB. Like those options are there, and I think the years like playing with Sloop, Crystal Dangerfield the year before, those reps playing alongside really solid point guards, you sort of like learn from them and apply what they do to what you're doing, and you see the fruits of that labor coming together bit by bit. So Sandy and the coaching staff will always know that whatever lineup we run, we're gonna have a plus decision maker and a plus ball handler out there all times, and that makes and also guards that are threats to score. I feel like that if you wanted to sort of like pin a difference between Sloot and Tosh in that regard, it's that, because there'd be times where Sloot would sometimes hesitate to shoot, and it's like, Courtney, you're open, pull it, it's okay. Tosh doesn't really have that problem in my estimation. And then now when you have Sab back at the 1, you're going to have shooters on the court at all times, and you're going to really be able to make it work. Oh yeah, Marina Johannes is back too. So there's another good guard that she can play alongside, and she's going to get open shots for. And Sab's ability to move off the ball, that's going to get her shots too, because you have Tosh who can find her, MJ can find her, Burke is a really good passer. Like there's This is how you build a roster that can compete for a championship this year and beyond. And even if expansion runs to your House of the Tomb Raider again, you're going to be okay.
Exactly. And again, I want to state this because I'm going to make sure I speak clear English here, as clear as I can. Sabrina is the key to that because she is already elevating her game. Everybody knows what Stewie is going to bring, and they have to try and stop it. They have to try and stop it. Everybody knows what JJ and Tosh are going to bring, and they have to try and stop it. But Sabrina taking the steps that she has to improve in the very specific ways that we've already talked about, and knowing, I'm telling you, the way she's talking, the way she's moving, the way she's reading and reacting in their scrimmages in practice, Sabrina is equally the most comfortable and the most confident I have ever seen her in a New York Liberty uniform. I've covered her since before she was drafted, and I'm telling you, she is locked in a completely different way. There's like, you know how like Stewie had this calm that she brought her first year?
Mm-hmm.
It was a calm, but a resolve. It was like, this is who we are. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. That's what I'm seeing from Sabrina. And why is that important? Because Brian, you've been around practice. Stewie's with the team, but she's not always on the court with the team. She's doing a lot of what looks from the times that we're in practice. And again, they have practice when we're not there. So it might just be her getting her recovery before everybody else, because she, but in those moments, who's the one running things? It's Sabrina. Tasha is your lead guard and will always be a lead guard when she's on the floor. I really do believe that. I know they're talking about, oh, we don't know what things are going to. I mean, listen, when Tasha's on the court, I don't know why you wouldn't have her play the one on this team. That's just my opinion. And just like we've said with other Liberty teams, you mentioned how many other point guards, Leja has also been one that has come through. All of those lead guards have come through, and this team has needed to go as either Stewie goes or as JJ goes. So my point is, you don't always have to be a lead guard to be the lead voice on this team. And Tosh is not going to be that this year. She's not.
Yeah.
Because this is a new team. But you know whose team this is? This is Sab's team, this is Stewie's team, and this is JJ's team. And with Stewie coming back from an injury, JJ playing the post position, you need Sabrina to take up more leadership, to integrate seamlessly with Tosh Cloud. And I'm telling y'all that she's ready to do. She's beyond ready. She's not ready to do it. She is doing it. Yeah. She is doing it. How many players have we talked to that said they feel, and sometimes you have to take it for a grain of salt. Maybe this is just things players feel they have to say coming into training camp. Well, I always listen, Brian, when you have multiple players saying the same thing, but in their very unique and distinct voice. And what I've been hearing a lot from the New York Liberty is that, and we heard it from Jonathan Kolb, is that this team is coming in knowing that it's about refining what they did last year. They came in, hit the ground running, determined. And so that has already accelerated their growth pattern and progress within the first handful of days. And Tosh Cloud is saying that, not even knowing what last year's camp looked like, that this is the most accelerated that she's felt a team has been X amount of days. I think at the time she said it to us, it was like 5 or so days into camp.
Yeah. Like I remember my first day talking to her, she mentioned that this has the feel of the championship Mystics year, where they were really able to hit the ground running. They had everything established. They knew what to do, and they had that comfort. And I think to a player, they've all talked about how advanced they felt. Like that first day, they're like, yeah, we're talking too much, but that's a great problem. Like, because everyone's like locked in. And then as they're figuring things out, as they're getting used to each other, you see the level of execution rising. You see the level of success of building and building and building. And, especially for a team like this, you don't this is the beauty of having continuity in your top dogs. You don't have to you don't have to strip everything over and start from scratch like you did in 2023 and doing it at like you mentioned all the time in like an easy bake kind of way. Like now the foundation is set.
It's there.
Yeah, all we got to do is just like tweak some things here and there.
Exactly.
I can like for coaching, I can like for Sandy, she mentioned, hey, I could go back and watch some games over and be like, okay, here's how I would have did this differently. And now that everyone knows the sort of like the fundamentals of it, you can just sort of like tweak some things here and there, but without having to redo everything. So it makes the learning process so much easier because you're not having to start from zero. You have the base knowledge, you have the base foundation of knowledge established. Now you just like build and build and build and build and build and build and build. And then when ring night comes, you're good to go.
Uh-huh. Listen, Damien, you don't have to know if she's ready, because I'm telling you that I've seen it. She's ready, but even that, you don't have to believe me either. Don't believe me. But if Sav says she's good to go, I'm gonna believe that she's good to go, and that's what she's saying. So y'all don't have to believe me and what I see and what I've witnessed over, I don't even know how many years now, at least 7, because Brian Flannery just told me he's been with the New York Liberty for 7 seasons. He started as an intern, y'all. An intern.
Right?
And I remember when he started, right? I've been covering the team for longer than he's been with the team. I've been covering the New York Liberty longer than everybody has been with the team.
Because you started was it 15 or 16 you started?
It must have been,
because you were MSG.
16. Yeah, I was in MSG. Yeah. I was in MSG. I'm telling you, Sab is, and it's one of them things, when you're around someone, it doesn't have to be loud or gaudy, but you just know how they talk, how they move. It's even in her face, Brian. Like, I would never call Sabrina she's always in very good shape. And there's just something in her face. I can tell that the work that I could tell from looking at her face is the best way I can say this. Literally looking at the composition, her jawline, all of these things. I could tell by looking at her face, because she was wearing, practice sweats or whatever. I couldn't see her full. She was sitting down, couldn't see her fully. But I could tell in her face that she has been working on strength training. You just know, how you can look at someone and you're like, okay, you've been in the gym, okay, you got that weight up.
Yeah. It's like I would say it's like almost like a feeling of like water, where it's like it's complete calm and there's no there's no sort of like rush or panic to what you do. And I feel like for this team, it matters a lot because
water. Okay. Or Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Be like water. Let's go. That's the name of this. That's what we should have called this. Be like water. No, but that's perfect what you're saying. There's a calmness, exactly that. The last athlete who I felt that about, Brian, it was last year, ESPNW Summit, and I spoke to AZ Fudd.
Oh.
And AZ I was like, what's the vibe going in? She's like, honestly, we're not talking about it. I was like, what you mean? I was like, oh, well, damn, I got a whole interview I got to do. She's like, we're not talking about it. She's like, we're not talking about the injuries. We're not talking about winning a championship. We're not talking about what happened last year. She's like, we're not talking about it. I'm not talking about it. I'm just getting after it. And what did AZ Fudd and UConn do? Can you remind me, Brian? What did they do?
Beat people by 32 for like 3 months straight.
What? Beat down South Carolina. Not once, but twice, including
in their house.
And including in the championship.
Mm-hmm. I love me some Dawn, but boy, Sarah Strong, AZ, and the crew had them like.
I'm just saying, I'm getting the same vibes that I got from 8, and it was literally a year to the date. a year to the date that I spoke to Sabrina from when I spoke to AZ the year before, because I was in town for the same summit. I'm telling you, AZ FUD, we're not talking about it. Sabrina talking about, I'm ready. Put the ball in my hands. I could do this. I could do that. I'm gonna be screening. I'm gonna be doing like. I'm here to report what she's telling me.
Mm-hmm.
She's telling me she's ready. I'm also here to analyze what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing. And my analysis is
they ready.
So you want to doubt them? I mean, I can't tell you how to live. 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 I'm just telling you what I hear. And the last person who came with that energy, like I'm putting my head down and I'm staying confident in what I've done, just happened to win a championship. I'm just saying. That doesn't mean it's not without hard work. That doesn't mean it's not without hiccups, battling through injuries, other people doubting you, questioning what you're doing, all of that. Of course. Am I guaranteeing anything? Absolutely not. I'm just telling you, I'm making an observation. And it's wild, Brian, because we talk to elite athletes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. We talk to elite athletes all the time. Mm-hmm. And when you can differentiate that an elite athlete has taken a step even higher to be even greater, you notice it right away.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where they don't even need to say it to us. It's like you're around them. And it's like, okay, I see you moving different. I see it. Yeah.
The literal energy is different. Her energy is different. Her physique looks different. Her attitude is different. And I prompted the question because I could tell before she even said it. I asked specifically about getting stronger. And her response is, I am the most mentally and physically fit that I have ever been in my career. That's what she told me. Mm-hmm. And I could tell in how she was carrying herself. I feel like I even mentioned it a little bit last year, that her confidence, her comfortability around her teammates, even around us as media, like we're not friends, we're not kikiing with her after the Met Gala, grabbing a slice at Joe's before we go to Barclays. That's not what we do it. But we're around them in a specific way for long enough that you pick up mannerisms. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, Brian. I've told my ET story. I could literally tell when this child was sick. That's how locked in I am. And I guess I'm just that, I got some of that. Some people just got the thing and I got the thing. And I could tell when this child was sick. That's how locked in I am to this team sometimes. It's crazy. I'm telling y'all, she's focused. I'm telling y'all, it's wild. And Tosh, we've talked about this on Tempestagi Talk or about the Seattle Storm. The tension that existed with the Seattle Storm, I'm going to keep it a buck. If there's going to be a downfall to this New York Liberty squad, it will be because of some of that. And what am I talking about? If you listen to Tempestagi Talk, what we say a lot of times is that the problem with that team was that when Stewie left, Jewel was assumed and presumed to be the leader of that team. And that's not completely Jewel's pedigree. Mm-hmm. It's just not. She's a leader in a very specific way. Tina Charles is a leader in a very specific way. Jewel Lloyd is not Sue Bird. Nobody is. And it felt like that franchise couldn't figure out what they wanted, what was the best version of Jewel Lloyd to amplify her talents and gifts and also elevate the team. Mm-hmm. That could be the downfall of this New York Liberty squad. The difference, in my opinion, and in my estimation, is that a majority of this squad just won a championship together. So they've gone through a lot of the sandpaper. Mm-hmm. Will there be a little sandpaper with a player like Tosh? Potentially. I mean, they're humans. You know what I'm saying? And Tosh says what she feels. But remember, Brian, what did this Liberty squad en masse work on?
Communication.
Would they have been ready for Tosh last year? No. Could they be ready for Tosh this year? Are they? Clearly, they went and got her.
Yep. Yeah.
Like it's wild. It's wild. The untapped potential of this squad, and we don't even know the final roster yet.
Yeah, there's still so many. When it comes to the back half of the roster, they have so many exciting options to sort of decide what to do. And so it makes the preseason matchups that more intriguing because players are going to be playing for Albert, not quite yet. They made one cut a few days ago, but as far as like the big cut down yet, I believe the deadline is next Thursday.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. But
yeah,
it's got some time.
They've got time. But I put this up here as you were talking, Brian, because you were starting to get into, what this team has, what could potentially be. And that's where they refine things. I think we talked about it, right? That's where this team also takes another step. That's where this coaching staff takes another step. Can Sandy find the right balance of probably 12, especially if we're thinking they suspend Benigelaine Hamilton's contract? Can she find the right mix of players that will then give her true depth? Because we've talked about it on our shows before. Depth, air quotes, in the WNBA is like, player 6, 7, maybe 8.
Maybe 8.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And that's how you know you're on a contender if you go 8 deep.
Yep.
But can Sandy push that to 9? Can she push it to a true 8? Let's talk in spades. Can she do a 8 and a possible?
I can see it. And now that we're talking about it, like a few minutes ago, I was thinking to my head, like I'm trying to think of like lineup combinations that could work. I feel like I need to like get like I have my notebook next to me. I think I'm just gonna like I might make that my homework for the next 2 weeks. So start thinking of lineup combinations that will sort of like make the most out of everything here. I'll try to have some ready. So I really want to see what they run in the preseason game this weekend. Not having Leo is going to make it slightly more complicated, but we can plug Leo in. Like Leo, like you tell Leo to do something, she got it covered. So we can really sort of experiment and come up with different combinations. So this is going to be a fun homework assignment.
That's going to be fun. Somebody has to have a simulator, right? Like,
yeah,
there must be one.
Yeah,
you got to figure it out. I believe that she's in the draft and stash kind of group still. Yep. So not expected.
Raquel Carrera, the draft pick this year, I think Adia Kane is her name. So a lot of folks in waiting in reserve. So whenever they want to come over, jump right on in.
Come on through. But this is interesting. We've talked about international players. I mentioned in the Slack over the weekend about the draft and stash, some of what Jonathan Kolb said on Saturday. But the reason that this is important and the reason that like Sandy's going to know real quick probably this season if she can really go 8-9 is because some of these players, Brian, that we're expecting to not only be in the starting lineup, but well, hold on. Maybe not starting lineup. But some of the players that we're expecting, it depends. Again, on the rotations, on the combinations. Some of these players we're expecting to be key for the New York Liberty will be gone for a moment with their national teams. Jonathan Kolb also confirmed that with us.
Yep. We've got in the month of June, we're not going to have Leo Fevich around. Niara Sabali is going to be out, and same for Marine Johannes. So 3 key players and WNBA Finals heroes, Leo and Niara, are going to be gone for a little while. So it's going to be tough, but this is why we talk about depth. This is why you need to have multiple. You need to have those options because when one player's gone, somebody else can step in. So Niara's gone for a month. Okay, Izzy Harrison, like
Yeah, is
Handle
he?
that. Like you started for a team that competed for a playoff spot last year. Make it work. Hey, Leo's gone. Look who's defending. Look who's defending at an all WNBA level. Rebecca Gardner. Oh,
Hey.
Marie Johannes is not around. I can slide back to the 2. Kennedy Burke. You're healthy coming into camp this year, which you weren't last year. Now you're caught up. Year 2 for you. We're expecting more from you. You got it covered. There you go.
Oof, Brian. This has a lot of potential. Last year we weren't I'll put this on me. I wasn't sure. I was like, JK, I want to believe in you, homie. I don't know about this Leo person. Like, who is this person? What's she about? Oh, I know about Leo. I'm in the fan club. I know about Leo now. Someone talking about, okay, great. A losing streak in June. Nah. I love how both of us were like, nah. Well, how many games consecutive? It was never more than 3, or was it one time more than 3?
I think the longest was 2.
That's what I'm saying. And it was only like 2 or 3 times the whole season that they lost back-to-back games.
I want to say it might have been just once. I think it was just that once where they lost to Chicago at home, and then they got smoked by Minnesota on CBS on that Saturday. And then I think that was it.
Why does it say CBS like that?
America's #1 network did not get the Liberty's #1 performance that day.
Oh, damn. Yeah. KB not talked about enough, but someone who saw, we won't say significant minutes, but saw important minutes behind KT, behind Leo. Well, okay, also behind Niara, right? But KB was playing in some of those rotations along with those players as their minutes started eking up, Brian. I think we definitely saw that.
And also, fun fact, when in game 4 against Las Vegas, in that first half, who was in foul trouble? Leonie Fiebich. Who else is in foul trouble? John Carl Jones, who came in to keep things steady and prevent Vegas from going on a big run in that loud-ass building there. Kennedy Burke.
Period. Yep. So, this is how I think of Kennedy Burke. And you also just now mentioned, or a few moments ago, right, mentioned health and a healthy KB coming into camp also. So I talked about Sabrina, but we got a healthy KB coming in. This is Marine's first time ever to New York Liberty camp on time.
That's a hilarious fact.
And she's also the elder stateswoman. She's been with the franchise, as Jonathan Kolb said, not in consecutive years, but in totality, she's been with the New York Liberty longer than anyone. Oh, child almost fell off my desk. Getting all excited over here. Like, my elbow slipped. I was like, oh, dang, about to bust my head into this microphone. Bam! Getting so excited about this New York Liberty squad. The options are endless. I'm not as concerned about building cohesion, building chemistry. They don't have to do it on the fly. It's just about refining specific things. That's what I want this team to focus on. And the fact that they have more help for Sandy and Olaf. Ooh, I did speak to Andrew. We know him from Unrivaled. Those are who are in the Slack channel. I've talked rave reviews about him. I have a one-on-one with him that we're going to post on Black Rosie Media, and we should be getting a follow-up with Jonathan Kolb on very specific things about Andrew. I'm just like, if we hadn't already blown the quote that he is, what was it? What was Walt Hopkins, a basketball genius? Something like that. Whatever the quote was.
Boy, I will say about that name. You know who to ask about that? New Jersey's very own Cheryl Reeves. She'll have comments. Some we can't print, and some that may not be fit for public consumption, but there will be.
I've talked to her a lot about that when it happened, while it was happening. Anyway, a basketball genius. If it wasn't played out and a part of New York Liberty lore, I would maybe say this is like, I just love how his mind works. He is, very thoughtful, contemplating. He likes to bring in data analysis. Good evening, Aloysius. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. But I think when you have the depth that this team has and you have the IQ, the basketball IQ that you have individually on the court, mark my words right here, that Andrew is going to be one of the pieces on this coaching staff that is going to help this team elevate and level up how they think and see the game. Because that's just as important. We talk so much individually about how players do that, how they refine their IQ. Now, when you can have someone to help do that at a team level, oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say about this Liberty squad.
Yeah.
It's like this comment right here. I'm excited about the depth of this team. Lost 2 key players, but the ones we got coming in are a little better, in my opinion. Okay. Is it a hot take? Is it a lukewarm take? Or is it just facts? Is it not a take?
I'd say factual, because like I think if we do beat for beat, Sloot and then Tosh Cloud, I would say I give the edge to Tosh because I think the optionality that she gives on defense is greater than what Sloot can bring. With all Courtney saved Game 4 for the Liberty in Las Vegas. She was key in Game 3 in Minnesota, so we know what Sloot could do. But right. Tosh gives you more options to work with. You lose KT, but
that's tough.
You sub in healthy Kennedy Burke, healthy Rebecca Gardner, Maureen Johannes, like you fit all that in. And especially for players like a Gardner, if you're not calling anything, Beck will hound you from the parking lot and make life hell for you. So you have that as well too. Coaching staff, another year together, new additions coming in, new ideas, different perspectives, different avenues to push. And also, this is year 3 of a team that's made deep runs, so they know what to do. And I think what also helps is that I think by changing the roster and inserting new energy, they don't run into the problem of running out of gas in the way that 2024 Vegas did, because they didn't, like the mistake the Aces made last year was that they didn't really make any changes to the roster, and then not have Parker retiring before the season started, not having Gray for 2 months, and then her working her way back into optimal strength, combined with an Olympic year, combined with the external pressure of doing something that hasn't been done since the Comets back in the early days of the league. All that pressure adds up.
Well, hold on. They were not at Comets level. They would have gotten to.
I think
no.
Because I don't think the Sparks won. I think Sparks topped out at 2 straight, right? I think only the Comets were the only 3-peaters. I think.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Yeah.
I understand what you mean. I was like, hold on.
Cheryl Soups is gonna come drive to my house if I said something crazy about that. Let me watch myself on that.
Listen, I get very protective of the Houston Comets. I was a Swoops fan, a Liberty fan, but a Swoops fan. So that was very interesting for me in the first few years of the league. But that's what I did. That's why. So I was like, hold on. But I understand what you mean. I was like, wait. They was going for 3, Brian. But I understand. You're right. And that was number 3 the one that they did for
I think number 3 was 99, right? Or was that?
I think that was the year that they lost Peratt. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I think so, because I think that was 3 for 10. I think that's what they would say. Anyway, okay, I understand now. Yes, they were trying to do something that only the Houston Comets have done, and then the Comets actually then won an additional one. So they won 4. So they went back. They won the first 4 titles. But yes, that's difficult. But to your point, did they retool enough? Probably not. I was surprised. I mean, they still have Kia Stokes on the roster. I just think there's limitations there. And you alluded to it earlier. If we know that about Kia Stokes, and I like I understand it defensively. I do think she needs a little more sandpaper defense. I've been saying that since she was with the Liberty, since I was covering her in Madison Square Garden. But they didn't have, I think that they definitely didn't have the depth that it required in the post. Like you mentioned, Asia just having to eat up crazy minutes. And with this Liberty squad, they've had to the expansion draft. I've always been worried that it would cajole them into a bad spot, but it, in my opinion, has actually accelerated in some ways, or maybe not accelerated is the right word, expanded how Jonathan Kolb and his team think about specifically international talent, but also overlapping experience and expertise. They've done something that I never thought was possible, and they're making me believe in positionless basketball.
The water is nice and warm here. It's not as frigid as we may have once thought.
I mean, I don't know how we got here, but we're here. Listen, Aloysius, I know you hopped in, but yes. The answer is yes. In case I have not been clear for the last hour and 25 minutes and counting, yes. This child is motivated. She's hungry. She's focused, but there's like a content. And I don't want to say like, oh, won a championship, I'm good to go. If you listen to Sabrina, we've talked about it, but I really started reflecting on it as she was talking to us on Friday. Sabrina opened up that last year was a lot for her. There were beautiful things that happened, and there were these monumental things. Your first Olympics in the same year that you get married, in the same year that you win a championship, and then you're going to China, you're doing all of these things. You've got your, shoes coming out, this, that, and the third. You become an investor and the highest paid reported player in there's all of these things happening. But specifically, I mean, I mentioned a lot, but specifically, I think it was the life event of getting married, and the life event of becoming an Olympian. Those things for Sab are critically important. And they were also their emotional things, not in a bad way, but they're just emotional. It's a culmination of work that you've either put into a relationship, right? Or into your career, reaching a very specific pinnacle.
Yeah. I feel like for a lot of us, you set the goal and it's like, I finally got it. What's the next adventure? And that's the fun of being a high level, like doing something at a really high level. You can always create the new adventure. It's okay, I won one championship, I want to do it again. Oh, I was all WNBA second team, I should have been first team, I'm gonna make sure I get on that first team. I made it to the Olympics. I'm gonna get back.
Even Becky Hammond agrees she needs to be first. Yeah, want to get back to the Olympics. It's like what you said. There's something, though, that JJ said regarding this that I thought was really interesting. And she said, winning the championship in real life didn't feel like how she imagined it. And I thought that was such an interesting thing for her to say. And she said it very matter-of-factly, not necessarily that it was better or worse, but it was almost like you put so much energy and you dream, you vision, you manifest, you pray, whatever, you journal, whatever you want to do, all of the above. And so when it happens, what you feel in that moment is the physical manifestation of all of the work that you put in. Yeah. It's like, the adrenaline, it's not that it's not there, but that the pain starts kicking in. You start feeling everything that it took. You feel the emotions for sure of what it took to get there. I thought that was so interesting. For her to say. And it, in some ways, if I understood her correctly, it prepared her for how to approach wanting to get another championship.
Yeah.
Because the emotional things, and that's what I was alluding to with Sab, the emotional weight that you carry, not in a bad way, but in a matter of fact way, when you have these things that you are striving for, that you're planning for, that you are, preparing your body for, and then, you can finally let go of that. It's just like this river, this flood of things that happen. And so I thought that was really interesting. And this is a team that, what is the word I'm trying to think of here? They don't react. They react deeply, but not always instantly.
Yeah. There's very little crash out, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, little crash out, and I think they like to reflect. I mean, last year was a lot of reflection. Like the work that they were putting in as a team, whether it was the book club, how they were communicating with each other, they were reflecting, right, on that hurt heart space, as Courtney Vandersloot would call it. So now I'm very curious, and I'm really not curious because I think I know. This team, Jonathan Kolb said it immediately when he spoke to us on Saturday. Stewie has said it multiple times, including in the video that you captured. JJ said it. Tosh has alluded to it. This team, how they've reflected on a championship is all of the things that it took and what was the differentiator between 23 and 24 for them to get there, and what they are building and what they are not sacrificing for anything are championship habits. Whether they say that phrase or not, that's what everyone is saying in this camp. That the expectation every day, championship habits.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. That's it right there. Like you do things the right way, you prepare the right way, you trust in each other, you trust in your work, you trust in your process, and then it happens. And then you can, if you do everything right, you can live with the results that come from it.
Correct.
You won't have you won't have that sense of regret being like, oh man, if only I had did this differently, I would have won it. Like, I think back last year, there was a great Sports Illustrated story with Brianna Stewart where they asked her about missing the final shot. And she's like, yo, I'd do it again. And you need that confidence. You need that to be like, okay, even if I failed in this moment, everything I did leading up to it prepared me for what happens, good or bad. And I can live with it because I know that I didn't cheat myself to get when I made it to this destination. I didn't cheat myself, and I didn't sort of take it for a joke. I didn't minimize what was going on. Like I gave my very best, and even if it wasn't enough, I know that I went down fighting. Like I didn't sort of like whimper out. I didn't try to like quit. Like I fought. I may have lost, but I'm right back up, and here I am again. Let's get it.
And I love that you said that because we're going to wrap it up here. Remember I said Jewel Lloyd is no Sue Bird. No one is Sue Bird. Mm-hmm. You know who learned under Sue Bird? Stewie. And what tipped the tides for Sue Bird after Lauren Jackson left? Brianna Stewart. Mm-hmm. I do think that this is Stewie's year to be her version of Sue to Sabrina's version of Stewie.
I like that.
There's a transition happening here.
Yeah.
There's a transition that is going to happen this year with the New York Liberty, which is why, again, keys to Sab. And when you have... Okay, thank you. Someone feels me. Thank you. Keys to Sab. And the mentality, who knows that better than someone who won 4 NCAA titles? Mm-hmm. Who's won with New York, that's 3?
Yeah, 18, 20, and 24. Yep, that's 3.
There are WNBA teams that, but there's only a handful, a cluster of them that have won 4 as a franchise. Stewie. Yo, wait a minute. Stewie has 3 championships as an individual.
Yeah. Her championship resume longer than my arm put together.
Like what? She's one away from being her own version of Houston, Seattle, and Minnesota.
Yep.
That's crazy. Okay, here, let me read this comment because I didn't read the other one. You've been saying multiple times that the Liberty keys should be given to Sabrina Ionescu. Are you serious?
Multiple years, in fact, not multiple times, multiple years we've been saying this.
All right, so I'll take what you wrote here. You've been saying multiple times that the Liberty keys should be given to Sabrina. Brian ups the ante. You've been saying multiple years that the Liberty keys should be given to Sabrina Ionescu. So I think if you wrote that, Damien, then you answered your own question. If I've said it multiple times, do you think I'm serious? If I've said it multiple times on this podcast, if I've said it for multiple years, what makes you think that I'm not serious? Now, if you don't believe it, if you disagree, that's different. But what makes you think I'm not serious? I'm extremely serious. That's why I've said it multiple times for multiple years. And you're going to see it's about to be true in 2025 because of all of the things that I've already aforementioned per my last email.
I want to circle back to the comments I made previously.
Per my last email and the one before that. Matter of fact, just check the whole chain, the whole thread. Receipts. I'm very serious. I'm serious. That's our show. That's our show, folks. We will have another Black Rosie Media podcast this week, Tempestagi Talk, and with the news about Katie Lou, Brian.
That's a bummer, man.
That's a real bummer.
We talked about it in the newsletter a little bit. It's just the science that we're gonna have to sort of figure out to really manage like leg injuries and just like in women's sports and basketball, football, wrestling, like every sport, like it's going to be very worthwhile. And I'm hoping that we can really sort of like, I'm hoping that the medical community is really able to sort of like partner with various organizations to really sort of like get to the bottom of it. So that way we can keep all these great athletes out there for as long as possible.
Yeah. And I mean, shout out and stick taps to, I believe her name is Dawn Scott. Mm-hmm. But she worked with the U.S. women's national team, the soccer team. Mm-hmm. And she did a lot of research and took in a lot of data. I would assume there was a very significant level of trust for the players, but she would have data analysis on their menstrual cycles. And the reason that was key is because it allowed her to cater workouts during the different aspects of the cycle that were keyed in to the athlete because she had biometric data, things of that nature.
Yeah.
And, that was I don't know, Dawn Scott's been away for a little while, but I'd say maybe this was in the last 6 or so years. Mm-hmm. And so, with now biometric data and data analysis being so much a part of sport, I do wonder if we'll start to see like the reports that we've been sharing in the Slack channel a little bit more, not just reporting, but also integrating the analysis that we're getting from science and how to do what Dawn Scott did for the women's national team and really specialize. Because we do have, people who specialize when it comes to nutrition and diet and things of that nature, but honoring it and recognizing that this is something unique to, and I'm going to use the term, I don't always use this term, but in this case, it is specific to the female body.
Okay.
And now utilizing that, I think that could be huge. But yep, Brian, you mentioned it in the newsletter. We know our friends or our friend Jackie Powell, who happened to be podcasting with, Locked On Women's Basketball, has talked about this, has written about it. So definitely check that out. And we've got more good stuff coming up for the newsletter, Brian. So before we head out for real, and Ellie wave out of here, let them know what you got coming down the pike, Black Rosie or otherwise.
Yeah, so newsletter coming soon. I am taking a look. Well, I'm going to catalog our media appreciation adventures for starters. And I'm also taking a look at sort of following up on our conversation last week. We did the contenders that we talked about last week. I'm going to focus on 2 teams that are playoff teams, but that may not be at the championship tier. And also, I mentioned in the Black Rosie Slack, I'm really fascinated by what's cooking in Atlanta with the new coach. Today, they picked up Cheyenne Sellers off of waivers.
Yes.
So it's a lot of really interesting things going on there. And there's a really fascinating quote that I saw. Megan Hall got video of it. So it's going to be in there. And I'm really fascinated to see a player who we talked about is having a make or break 2025. So I'm excited to get into that. More Liberty things coming up this week. We always on the lookout for that. So a lot of good stuff coming. And then in about today's the 5th, next weekend, it's the big day.
I'm so excited. I can't freaking wait. We'll have another podcast. Our regular night is Monday night. If there's a conflict or if we need to do a bonus episode, then we rock on Thursdays.
Yep.
Thursdays is our extra day. But on Wednesday, which is our regular day, we'll have Tempestashi talk. So we'll talk a little bit about not only the unfortunate injury to Katie Lou Samuelson, but also Dominique Malonga officially dropped down in Seattle. And actually, we heard from Le Magician about Dominique Malonga and a few other things. So I will also have that in the Slack channel. And your girl, I think I can say this. Well, maybe I should wait. I'll wait. I might have a little bit of a fun thing that will happen later in this month, but I gotta make sure them tickets, I gotta make sure my itinerary comes through before I let y'all know about that. But we do have another women's basketball roundup coming, as Brian has already mentioned, and lots of good things to come for Black Rosie Media. Hey, we got Cancer and Damien saying hell no to Sabrina with the keys. All right, well, you already know it's been marked multiple times. If I'm lying, then it ain't me. Then it's an imposter. I said what I said. I be working my auntie vibes, and I'm here to tell y'all, just like Asia's got a team, just like Sue Bird had a team, Tamika Catchings, Maya Moore. I mean, however you want to, at the end of the day, some of y'all know. Who else Spike Lee dapping up? Who's Teaspoon dapping up? Okay. But y'all believe what you want to believe. And we'll see about it. Hey, sometimes they have student discounts. I mean, I don't know, Brian. I don't have a personal plug. We go as media.
Yeah.
We go as media. So I don't know, but Liberty always doing some cool stuff. So we got to keep that, see what they got going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, All right, Brian. Great episode as always. Thank you for all your insights. We know you're going to be at practice. We know you're going to be at practice coming up. So we'll look forward to your hashtag content. And oh man, I can't wait to see. Brian Flannery already sent a few of the videos from Media Appreciation.
Oh, he did.
Yes, yes. Oh, all right. Y'all got to go to Black Rosie Media on either TikTok or IG. It's not up on YouTube yet, but including one of the clips that Brian sent me is the clip of Doug shooting and then Sandy knocking him out. But it's the reaction of it's me, Jackie, Annie, and a few other people that you can see in the video. Our reaction when Doug lost to Sandy Brondello in the game of knockout. So you got to check that out on social media. Make sure you're following Black Rosie Media. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe here on YouTube. Really helps us grow the channel. Leaving comments is also huge. But for Brian Fleurantin, I'm Erica L. Ayala. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday for Tempestagi Talk, where we will be talking all things Seattle Storm. But until then, I'm here to tell you your New York Liberty looking good, baby girl. And on that note, we wave. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.